Previous majority lot owners helped me sell my lots to the builders, you know, because we were new to this, you know, and I didn't know how it was going to go, and they didn't know how it was going to go, and it turned out that I couldn't sell my lots, you know, and so, you know, I'm just wondering why. I mean, I'm hoping that you can help me sell my lots to the builders.
Well, I think we've had this conversation, and I told you I'm more than happy to submit your lots to the builders for consideration. They're not paying very much. That's what you. In fact, 2 lots just recently sold in 2 out of foreclosure at $15,000. So it's kind of, you know, homes are homes. I mean, people are buying homes and they're finishing homes, but when you're trying to sell a lot and you're trying to do it at, you know, even if we were to include you in what we're selling to builders for, you'd have to take less than you've been willing to take.
Well,
that's certainly something, you know,
they had a contract that they gave us, and I sold 3 lots in Unit 8 and made like $100,000 profit, and you know,
that was back in what is now fondly referred to.
Right, I know, but still, you know, it's like they bought my lots, you know, and put them in their name, and then they sold them or did whatever they did with them, and. Because, you know, I mean, like, I went along with this. There was a big fight. The county sued these people, the majority owners, and they almost didn't allow them to make this HOA. And I went along with it because, you know, these people were working with me, and they were helping me sell my lots, and they were developing them. But now you guys have changed course, and you're not, you know,
we're developing, and your lots will be worth something.
Yeah, but you're not doing what...
We were worth nothing when we came in. But they're not worth $65,000 a lot, which is what I understand they were selling them for. Which
well, I'd be happy to get what I paid for them.
That's
you know?
A lot, yeah. And I know you would be happy to get what you paid for them, but that's not what builders are paying for lots right now. So
they're paying what, $30,000, aren't they?
That's about where it's at.
Well, that's what I'd be happy with.
And
so
two have just sold in 2 out of foreclosure for 15.
Yeah, I know.
So. But once again, I'm happy to present that to them anytime you want, but it would have to be, you know, at a much lower amount, because that's kind of where they are.
But that's not the agreement we had with the previous majority lot owners.
I think the bank liked the agreement they had with them until they lost all of the bank's money too.
Yeah, right.
That was not a good thing for the bank. Let me see, in 5, 221 lots are represented, in 7, 109, in 9, 346 lots, in 10 south, 104 lots, and in 10 north, 186 lots. Anybody here from those HOAs? Or from those lots?
It looks like 2.
In number 5?
2 people, that's it.
5. Okay, so since you were both here and you have the introductions, I'm Steve Russo again, this is Ken Silverman, and then we have the Chapman Company, Kim and Swain here. I would ask for a motion to approve.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
And waive the reading.
I'd like to waive the reading.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? And if you didn't get minutes, they're back there, so you can always pull them, and we'll show you what happens.
If I have questions about this, I can contact you later.
Absolutely.
Sure. Okay.
Or you can feel free to call me at any time. Development updates. Let's take just a moment, and I'll break this down because I would like to do 7, 9, 10 north, and 10 south first. There is nothing going on with those lots and those developments. But the good news is 5 is being developed as we speak. The majority lot owner decided 2 months ago, based on the projected usage in 2 by KB Homes, that they would undertake to develop phase 1 of Unit 5 and have contracted, the HOA has contracted, the majority lot owner is advancing the funds for the contract, to develop the first phase of Unit 5. For people who aren't familiar with Unit 5 as it relates to Unit 2, it is the southeast portion of Unit 5, so it's the portion that connects most closely to Unit 2, which is being finished off as we speak. There is in the plan there, normally when we're at my office I have the map up there that shows all the other, I think next time we maybe we'll bring that so we have it. There is a 42 unit phase that can be developed with the cul-de-sac that the ownership group has elected to start moving forward. And we're in the process. We've updated the appropriate construction plans, the permitting plans, and we are seeking a construction permit to construct, to finish those 42 lots. The hope is that we will have a deal with the national home builder to start building that 42 lot development, and if that goes well, it will expand into 5. 5 is broken into, I think there's 256 lots in 5, and it's broken into 7 phases. So each phase is roughly 30 to 40 lots, and so hopefully it will be done. How quickly it develops is a function of how many homes a national builder is able to sell on a weekly or monthly basis. Our hope is that the construction permits will be issued shortly. When I say shortly, we're looking to get an interim construction permit in the next 2 weeks. And if that does happen, we will have the earth movers and the road builders out there in the next 60 days. So it'll actually look like a really developed subdivision, that 42 lots. The one problem that we face, the continuing problem we face, is that portion of 5 still has significant compaction issues that come from the subcontractor that was used in 2, and there's still litigation going forward in regard to that. And the ownership group will have to do the remediation for that, so that adds to the cost. But they've committed to go ahead and doing that with the expectation that they'll bring a national builder in, and new models will be built and new sales will take place.
I'm sorry, but that's
Go ahead.
The compaction
The
issue.
compaction issue is
Where they put sewer lines.
where they put sewer lines.
Okay, so where there's no sewer line yet, it's not an issue.
It's not an issue. But where there are sewer lines is where you will be building roads typically. And because you're building roads where there are sewer lines, you have to remediate the compaction. There would be no problem if you weren't putting a road on it. But because you're putting a road on it, and what happens in some of these areas, 5 in particular, that sewer is like 2, it's 23 feet below grade. Okay, so envision 23 feet. And the compaction tests that were done, which were insufficient, clearly, were of the first 5 feet. Nobody tested down 23 feet. So the first 5 feet were great. Then when the next 18 feet start to settle, the first 5 feet go along with it, and that's a problem. But the good news in 5 is there's no road on it. So the road won't go on it until the remediation is done. So people in 5 and homeowners in 5 should not have that ongoing subsidence issues that 8 struggles with and that 2 has and will continue to struggle with. 8, unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately for 8, the county accepted the lots, accepted the road before they knew about the problem, and so 8 gets the problem fixed at no cost if they can get it fixed. So that's why I said fortunately, unfortunately. Fortunate part is it doesn't cost them to fix it because they don't have the obligation to fix it under their HOA. The bad news is they have to call the county has to set up to come out and do it, and my experience, what I'm hearing from people in 8 is, you wait, 4 months, before somebody comes out and fixes all those subsidences that are out there. We have a diagram, because of the litigation, I have a diagram, and it has red dots in 8 where there's been issues, and so 8 kind of looks like just a real big red dot. Okay, this looks like a blob in it. 2 looks like a little polka dotted dress, but that's only because it's only been, a year or 2. But there's still red dots starting to blossom up. The bad news for 2 is the HOA is on the hook for doing those repairs. And so the HOA has to do the repairs on an ongoing basis, which is why you said previously in 2, got to notify the management company, they'll get out, they'll get it taken care of. hopefully after a 5-year period, assuming there's no critical failure of the sewer, then the county will take it over. And we're 1 year into the 5-year period, so that's good news. 5, we will remediate the compaction before the roads go on, so there shouldn't be that ongoing issue with 5. So that's our updates. The accomplishment, I would say, is that we are moving forward with the litigation. We do feel confident in our abilities to succeed in the litigation, which would put money into the HOA for purposes of dealing with this issue, like we did with Arcadis. This is litigation against Inova, who is the contractor who did the sewers for 2 and for 5. And because 2 has moved where there's been a steady sale of homes, 5 is actually developing. And that's a lot different than what I said last year, and the year before that, and the year before that, which was, you know, there's no plans, anybody who has a lot in 5, not much is going to happen. That's the good news. The bad news is, if you have a lot in 5, the projected additional costs associated with developing all the lots from the budget that we put in place for 5 is $10,000 a lot. So if you have a lot in 5, you're going to end up paying $10,000 more to get the lot done. And most of the people who have lots in 5 who had to pay what they paid when they thought it was going to be $65,000 a lot are upside down on those lots. So it's not necessarily good news for those people who have actually paid their assessments. There are not a lot of people who have paid their assessments in 5. They have liens on it. Those are likely to just go away, because a lot in 5 at today's price is probably valued at $10,000 to $15,000 undeveloped. Yes.
You saying there's an estimate another $10,000 per lot that's going to be what exactly?
Well, in order to finish 5, what you have to do is you have to build the roads. You have to remediate the compaction issue, and then you have to build all the roads. The sewers.
There's large areas that have no sewer at all. Yeah.
No. The sewer is in all of 5.
It is?
Yeah. The sewer is in all of 5. Now, whether it's still a workable sewer is one of those issues that we will have. There will be a lot of testing that goes on. They have to, they have to flush them and they have to do all that. But assuming it's still a workable sewer, and I have to tell you, the ownership has continued to, over a 2-year period, send people out to make sure the manholes were tight, make sure dirt wasn't getting down there, and doing all of those things. They're trying to preserve the sewer as much as possible. It is only the road work and the compaction work that has to be done.
What about the utilities?
Utilities are all. So that's why you're at 10, the current bids we have are about $2 to $2.5 million to finish off 5. Not expected to do it all at one time, obviously, to do it in phases. But it works out to about $10,000 a month. So
You say utilities billion?
Utilities are in all 256 lots. So that's the game plan in terms of moving forward. And if you do it in phases at 40 or 30 lots a shot, it'll be 400, 300, 400, 500 as you move forward and develop that. The unanswered question, which I don't think anybody would want to ask, are the assessments going to be done on a phase-by-phase basis? And I think the board is probably leaning to do it on a phase-by-phase basis, so that you don't get assessed now if you're in phase 7 for a lot that may not be developed for 1.5 years down the road, because obviously it'll take time to work through 250 lots to sale. Now we're hoping that volume goes up in terms of the sales, that they sell more than 2 or 3 a week, but obviously or a month. Obviously, if they're selling at 25 or 30 a year, 256 lots, that's a long time.
Why can't you force the developer to buy from us too, our lots? When you allow them to build in our subdivision, why don't you write into the contract that there are individual private owners that would like to sell lots to you?
That's a good
and in
question.
order for you to build in our subdivision, you have to buy from them too,
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And what I would suggest, and what I know the majority lot owner is willing to do, is anybody who owns a lot in 5, who's willing to sell it at the same price that the majority lot owner is selling it we'll do that for you. It's that simple.
What do you mean? Why is that different from Unit 2? You were just saying that, I don't quite understand what you're saying there.
If you're in Unit 2,
Yeah.
if you're willing to sell it under the same terms, I had this conversation with you
Yes,
before,
yeah.
you could sell it under the same terms.
Yeah.
You indicated you wanted more money.
Oh, no, I'll take this. I'll take 30,000 for
Okay,
it.
well, if you want to do that, we'll put that in the takedown, and it'll be taken down at the same time.
All
as
right.
But at
Great.
5, we would do the same
Yeah,
thing.
good.
We expect that lots in Unit 5 are going to ultimately sell somewhere in the $35,000 range. And if you want to, be part of that ownership group selling,
Yes.
we're happy to include you
Great.
at that
Thank you. Very good.
$35,000 range.
Yeah.
But you need to contact us, and you need to tell us that you're committed to doing that, and you'll wait on the takedowns, because our takedowns, for example, with KB have been over the last 2 years. So they only take down 10 lots, a quarter, which is about kind of where, and they haven't really sold at 10 lots a quarter. They've basically sold, at about 6 lots a quarter, which is why they still own outright 23 lots. So they have a full year's worth of development. So unless development picks up, it's not likely to happen. But if you sell at the same price that the ownership sells at, the majority lot owners, then there's no reason why we wouldn't include you in it.
Well, thanks very much. I'm finally got a...
But you have to sell at that price.
Sure.
Take down, it sounds like it's.
Yeah, what they do is they don't want to buy onesies. And that's one part of the problem Raquel's talking about that she's run into is if you own one lot and you just try and sell it, there's nobody who wants to buy it. A developer wants to buy 10 lots. And they may not want, your lot might not be one that goes into, you sell on the same terms as the ownership, then you have to sell where the builder wants to buy it. It doesn't do any good if you say, well, I have a lot, I'd like you to, but that lot's over here. It's not going to happen. If your lot's here, and this is where they're buying it, then you can sell it there. It doesn't do you any good if you say, well, but I have a lot in 5 and it's, on the north east corner. Well, they're not buying the northeast corner, they're buying the south west corner. That's kind of how it works. So it has to be something that they want in that area. And we're happy to work with anybody who owns lots.
Are they required to buy everything in the area, or can they buy a group of them with one missing and build around it?
They can buy with one missing.
They can.
Yeah. They can buy let's put it this way. The way the game now is in building, whatever they want to buy, on whatever terms they want to buy, they're pretty much dictating how it works. Okay, it isn't as if, 5 years ago, landowners kind of went, well, if you want my land, you have to do this, 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 and this, because there's only so much, and it's $65,000 a lot, and that's not how it works. If we don't buy you, there's 10,000 other lots, and do something to buy somebody else.
Other than KB Homes, are any other builders like Pepper Pine or Meritage or Ovarian or anybody else interested in those lots?
We talk to everybody. There's no stone that is left unturned. The only national builders that have expressed an interest out in this area are, and you could probably guess it, KB, D.R. Horton, and Richmond American. And that's it. So would I love to make a deal with Pulte? Would I love to make a deal with Meritage? Yeah. Is there a chance to entice, somebody else out here? There's just not been an expressed interest. So yeah, we talk to everybody. There's 221 lots that the majority lot owner owns in 5. If you wanted to buy 10 or 15 of them to start building, I can talk to you right now. But chances are you're not going to get anybody but one of those 3, because they're the people who are building out here and are seeing some sales. And that's kind of what's happened is if they're not a home builder who's seeing that there's some activity, then they don't go start up. It's not like 5 years ago where they would just go, well, we'll buy over there and then we'll get around to building eventually out there. They don't buy unless they're ready to build, and they don't buy and build unless they are sure they're going to sell. And they certainly don't do deals where they come in and buy 20 or 30 or 40 lots or 50 lots at one. They buy 10 lots with the idea that they think they can sell them in a quarter. And if they don't sell them in a quarter, they don't buy any more. So it's kind of that, and they don't buy anything that's not finished. So they don't, it's not, you know, back in the day where they come in and goes, well, we'll buy 50 or 100 lots and then we'll put in the sewers and we'll do all the rest of it and then no. It has to be finished or they don't buy it. So that's kind of the way the building program has worked, and it's because it's a buyer's market. There's a lot of people sitting on a lot of lots that don't have much value that will sell them. As I said, there were 2 people in Unit 2 who let their lots go to foreclosure for $15,000. And they sold for $15,000. You know, that makes it harder on us when we're trying to sell them at 30. Okay, because they don't want to pay, you know, oh, you can pick it up for 15. The saving grace there is that no home builders, no national home builders are going to come in and buy 2 lots. They want to buy 10 or 15 or 20.
In addition to which, if Rosemont Mine goes in, obviously that's going to be an attraction for the mine, because those are going to be the people working there, going to be the people buying homes. So we'll get, there'll be a lot of impetus to sell lots at that point if the mine goes in.
And that's what kind of that's kind of drives the home build. This is a great area if in fact Rosemont Mine got approved, because it's a short distance, it's a short drive. A lot of starter homes would be out here. A lot of those people would probably want to buy homes and we'd see some volume. We kind of were hoping that would be done 3 years ago. And right now, it doesn't look like it's going to get done for the next 5 years. So.
We don't want the money.
No.
And that's the difference is, I have no opinion on the mine other than we would sell a lot more lots, and that's good enough. You know.
I was thinking that KB Homes and started building it, that other people would be interested, saying, well, they're selling it, let's go buy some.
But let's be clear, KB is selling 2.5 homes a quarter.
Oh, that's not much.
Yeah. It's not, no, 2.5 homes a week. A month, I'm sorry, a month.
Yeah.
A month. That's, 7 homes a quarter over the course of a year, 21 homes. There's not a lot of people rushing to jump on that bandwagon. So I can sell 2, I can steal 2 away from them. Yeah, so that's, when you get to where you're selling 20 or 30 a quarter, then you got 60 homes, somebody might come out and say, hey, I can sell 20 or 30 homes. That makes a home builder money. So right now, we're lucky we still have 1, and we're hoping they don't go away. Because come July 15th, they could say, we're done. We really didn't make a lot of money here, we're out. So we're kind of keeping our fingers crossed that they will stay and take down that final thing on the 15th. But they own 23 lots right now they could build on. They could just say, we're gone. We'll finish that out and we're done. We don't want it.
Well, like on these other units, like 7, 9, and 10, I mean, why do we pay dues on them? Like most of the dues go to the management, and how many years are we going to be paying dues on vacant lots?
I would.
Can't we just suspend these units for a while and maybe pay a token amount, like $1 a year for dues or something?
I think that's, once again, a good question, and the answer is no, I don't think you can do that. I think you still have an obligation to make sure they're insured. You have an obligation.
My lots are insured with my homeowner's policy.
I understand, but there are people that don't. Homeowners Association needs to do that. And it needs to be policed to make sure that if there are issues with people riding motorbikes or there's trash out there, that it's done. So the HOAs are going to stay in existence, and they're going to continue to charge their dues. The dues, once again, are $60 a year. They're not excessive.
It's $3,000 a year for me, and I don't have health insurance. I don't have a swimming pool. I don't go on vacations.
That's if you own a lot of lots, but it's $60 a year for a lot. So
everybody I talk to thinks it's crazy. HOA dues on vacant lots. It doesn't make sense.
Structure we all pay into the master.
Of the $60 a year that goes off to that, I think the amount that goes to the master is, I think it's like $3.
Well, it depends what unit.
Small number.
If a group pulled out, the rest of us weren't paying.
Oh, would all have to pay into the master, exactly. And the master does have to take care of Camino del Toro, and has to water the trees, and has to make sure the landscaping stays up. So it does have a significant.
Do HOA rates go up once it's built?
If you own a home in a Sycamore Vista unit, you pay $240. You pay $60.
All right, so we are already paying a lot less.
Then,
Because it's vacant.
because it's vacant, exactly. And Raquel and I have had this conversation before. I know she objects to doing that. She objected before to doing that because the prior home ownership group didn't pay their dues. Well, I will tell you, we own 346 lots in Unit 9. I don't see anything happening in Unit 9 for the next 5 years. At $60 a year, our 346 units are going to cost us $20,000 a year, and we make the payment. Now, if I was voting my pocketbook instead of what's good for the community, I'd jump on what Raquel said. So let's just do away with the dues, because it saves us $20,000 a year on one HOA. I own 221 lots in 5. We own 192 lots in 8 and 186 lots in 10. I'd love to say let's do that, because we would be saving $50,000, $60,000 a year in HOA dues. $60 a lot doesn't sound like a lot, but when you own 400 lots or 900 lots, it's a lot of money. But it's the right thing to do for the community. It's so that you don't end up with property that looks like garbage or isn't being maintained or doesn't have insurance or can't somewhere down the road be part of a development. So that's why we pay it. But, you know, I would entertain a motion to have us all not make those payments. It would certainly be in our best interest.
Well, let's
No
do
doubt
it
about
then.
it.
Let's make a motion right now.
But I would not vote in favor of it. So you've lost in the past.
I mean, why don't we make a different deal? I mean, we'll pay master association fees, but I mean, these management fees and insurance, like I said, we don't need it.
Advantage our pocketbook if I were to agree with you. But
I mean, I'd like to manage it. I could use the money. I mean, what do you do? You know?
So if you make that as a motion, is there a second to waive all the HOA dues on vacant lots? In 5, 7, 9, 10,
Well,
11,
I'm the
10,
only second there is.
Huh? You're the only second there could be? Because I'm not going to second it. But I guarantee if you second it, just so that it gets a moment on the floor, we'll take a vote, and I vote all our lots against it. So, and that, I just voted $50,000 a year against my interest, because I think it's the right thing for the community. So, and let the record reflect that we had a motion to waive HOA dues on vacant lots in 5, 7, 9, 10 north, 10 south. It was seconded, it was voted on, yeah, and we vote against it. So, we're not going to waive it. It's just not the right thing to do for the community, in our opinion. Alrighty, that's our accomplishments in 2011, for whatever they're worth. Now is the time we'll take nominations from the floor for the election of directors. Does anybody want to serve on any of these? HOA?
They're open, 5.
We can have 3 positions are up for election.
And you got none of them?
Oh, the 3 people who are going to win, by the way, are Ken Silverman, Steve Russo, and Ron DeVore. But we're happy to take any nominations from the floor. But what we've done in the past is if somebody really wants to be on the board, we'll put you on the board. So if you want to be on the board, pick which one you want to be on, and I'll vote for you. Let's get you on.
Well, I thought I could only be on the unit.
You're on the one, yeah.
So unit 5.
Would you like to be on the Unit 5 board?
Yeah, I would.
Submit your name.
Okay.
And what's your name?
That's Steve
Steve?
DeGregorio.
Okay. I spelled that DEGREDORIO.
GREG.
G.
ORIO.
I did the D instead of the G. Okay. Alrighty, the nominations for 5, I'll take 5 separate, are Steve Russo, Ken Silverman, Ryan DeVore, and Steve DeGregorio. Would you want to turn in your ballot? I'm getting mine.
I didn't really read.
That's okay, because our votes will, I just wrote you in.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And I'll announce the results for 5.
Okay.
The winners of the election for Board of Directors are
Can I
Steve,
hold my breath?
Ken, and Ronnie. Okay. Now we're going to hold the elections for 7, 9, 10 South, and 10 North. Anybody want to be on those boards? All righty. Well, I can tell you who just won those. Ken, Steve, and Ronnie. All righty. And I'll take a motion to approve the actions of the HOA for the year.
So moved.
I'll second that. Oh, would you like to second that? You make your way into the minute?
Sure.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Second.
Aye? All right. Any other comments? Anybody? Okay. It only affects Unit 2, and it only affects Unit 5. In Unit 2,
I'm sorry, so ANOVA is Unit 2.
in Unit 2 and 5, that was the contractor who did the sewer and
Okay, so it does affect 5.
through jump out. So
But
it affects 2 and
Arcadis
5.
only affects,
Arcadis is done, but it affected 5, 7, 9, 10 North, and 10 South. And it resulted in a settled amount that was distributed to those HOAs. That's why those HOAs have some money at this point. So when you look at the budgets for 5, 7, they actually have, or the balance sheets actually have cash, but it came from that.
all right, so what does that money then go toward? If it's not offsetting money that's already been spent?
Each one of the boards, when they looked at it, decided to try and reserve that money. It got put in reserve funds for future development plans.
Okay, so it'll offset the next bill to finish the sewer.
Exactly. There was talk about giving it back to the homeowners, to the lot owners. Once again, we are the majority lot owners, so I would love to take the money back in 9, because we have 346 lots, and we would have basically just written ourselves a check. But we didn't think that that was fair, since that money was, because Arcadis didn't really do the plans they were supposed to. So we asked the HOA to set that aside in a reserve fund so that when it comes time to do the plans, it will be available to offset some of the costs associated with the plans. So there aren't more assessments that get made. Okay. Now, I will tell you that the amount that was received was roughly $250,000, which after having to pay the lawyers, and by the way, even though I'm a lawyer, we did not do the litigation. We engaged separate counsel to do that. After paying them the $100,000 it took to collect the $250,000, which was still a net positive, that amount was distributed. So each one of the HOAs received somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000 to $30,000, depending on what their contract amounts were.
So basically, it's going towards.
It would be available for whatever the board, that board,
or will be spent.
right, decides to spend it for down the road. The ANOVA is a little different because it only covers 2 and 5. And the majority lot ownership group, which is NT Properties, which Ken and I are part of, has spent $650,000. It's lent that money to Unit 2 to deal with the compaction issue.
Mm-hmm.
And it has lent $220,000 to Unit 5 to deal with the compaction issue.
This is all for corrective measures.
All for corrective measures, and would expect that on Unit 5, that number could be anywhere from another $150,000 to $500,000, depending on just how bad the compaction turned out to be and what the bids are in terms of doing that. 2 is remediated, so that roughly the $650,000 that was spent to finish 2 it's pretty much done. But 5 is an unknown right now. The expected number is easily $1 million to do that. So if there is a settlement that exceeds that number, then obviously that would go back to ownership or to the HOA for additional stuff. If it doesn't exceed that number, the arrangement with the HOA was, well, we'll advance that money to do this so that you don't go out and charge everybody to do it. But we would expect to be paid only if there is a settlement down the road. So the deal we arranged with the HOA is, if for some reason the litigation goes nowhere, that's what we paid all that money and we don't get repaid. If there is settlement, then you will give us that money back. And if there's more than that, then that's your money and you can keep it. The lawsuit is seeking to collect well in excess of $1 million. But, you know, lawsuits are lawsuits. We wanted $1 million from Mercatus, we got $250. We were happy to get the $250, and it cost us $150. So part of the money we've advanced in 2 and 5 is close to $150,000 just in litigation fees up to this point. So lawyers don't come cheap, and we don't want to increase dues to homeowners to pay for lawyers. So that's one of the things that, and I always say to the group, that's not altruistic. We have 221 lots in 5 we would like to be able to sell somewhere down the road. These issues have to be resolved. It's that simple. There's people who own another 30 lots that would like to, you know, part of that ownership where you have a lot or others have a lot, and that will benefit them also, but we have the majority interest, and so we really should be footing the bill. So, all right.